Jar Binks is one of the most mocked characters in Star Wars. Appearing to be clumsy whenever possible, Jar Jar's only ever protection is his plot armor. But what if that was not his only armor? What if he was a Force user? What if he was a Sith Lord? As you will see here, a lot will change. We're going to have to break Darth Bane's rule of two here, as Sidious is not aware of Darth Jar Jar, having masked his Force presence from everyone. The initial events on Naboo would be similar, with Qui-Gon saving Jar Jar from being run over by MTT, and then visiting Boss Nass. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan convinced Boss Nass to allow Jar Jar to guide them to the surface of Naboo, where they would rescue Senator Amidala and attempt to fly to Coruscant, before stopping on Tatooine to repair their hyperdrive. It is in Tatooine, however, where events differ. Jar Jar up to this point had been intrigued by the two Jedi, and upon landing on Tatooine felt a tremor in the Force. This, he realised, was his time to emerge, and begin to take control of the galaxy. Whilst Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan went to inspect the hyperdrive, Jar Jar would athletically front flip from the ship and onto the sandy surface. Enhancing his speed with the Force, Jar Jar would sprint his way towards the mysterious presence. Coming upon Watto's workshop, he would lay his eyes upon the mysterious presence. It was a young boy named Anakin Skywalker. Jar Jar decided to slip back into clumsy mode and humour Anakin with an array of acrobatics and goofy faces, using his trademark tongue. Anakin would be kind enough to lead him to his home, where Jar Jar would meet C-3PO and Shmi Skywalker, Anakin's mother. At this point, Qui-Gon, Padme Amidala, and R2-D2 would encounter Watto, not suspicious of Jar Jar's disappearance, whom they thought was off on one of his nonsensical adventures. Watto and Qui-Gon would negotiate their deal at this point, but would come to a stop when Qui-Gon realised Republic credits won't do fine. Sensing no other alternative, Qui-Gon used the Force to seize Watto by the throat, coercing him into giving him the parts for his hyperdrive. Remember that Qui-Gon was a rogue Jedi who did not always comply with the conventional ways of the Jedi. Watto reluctantly complied, raising one of his gnarly fingers to point towards a part at the back of the yard. Qui-Gon let go of Watto, whom would fall to the floor, clutching at his throat, and Qui-Gon would force grab the parts, leaving Watto's workshop with a horrified Padme and an intrigued R2-D2. With another one of Tatooine's storms looming, the trio would duck into a nearby shelter. Little did they know they had stumbled upon Anakin Skywalker's home. Jar Jar, who had been distracted by the nearly completed C-3PO, cursed himself for not being able to detect Qui-Gon coming into Anakin's home. Clearly, his skills were still rusty. Anakin would meet Padme for the first time, and he would again question if she was an angel from the moons of Yago, annoying Jar Jar, whom had been attempting to subtly sway Anakin to the dark side of the Force. The group eventually left the modest home, without Shmi, as she was still tied to Tatooine due to her enslavement. Darth Maul would not fight Qui-Gon, as remember in this scenario, the pod race had not taken place yet, hence he would be too late. The group would fly back to Coruscant, with Qui-Gon requesting to train Anakin, but the Council would not know about Maul or the Sith, as Qui-Gon had not encountered him. Meanwhile, Jar Jar would accompany Queen Amidala to the Senate, sensing a strong presence in the dark side of the Force. Entering their booth, Jar Jar would pose as a guard, when he suddenly felt a surge of hatred emanating from behind him as Palpatine entered the booth. Jar Jar internally chuckled at Palpatine's attempt to sneak his Force presence. It may have worked on the feeble Jedi, but it would not work on the true Sith Lord. After this encounter, Jar Jar would continue to track Palpatine's movements, sharpening his Force abilities and lightsaber skills, as well as continuing to solidify the links between Queen Amidala and the Gungans in their battle against the Separatists. Jar Jar would eventually track Palpatine to the galaxy's opera house and attend a Mon Calamari performance, then to Plagueis' penthouse, where Palpatine and his master would retire for the evening. Being careful not to be detected, Jar Jar would jump from building to building in Coruscant's Monument Plaza, moving so quickly that to the naked eye it would be a mere blur. He would eventually land upon the roof of Plagueis' penthouse suite, and peering through a rooftop window, he would spot Plagueis beginning to waver from the alcohol Palpatine encouraged him to drink. Sensing Palpatine was to strike at any moment, Jar Jar would find a weak spot in the security of Plagueis' home, swiftly jumping down from the rooftop and kicking the two guards standing outside the back door of his house in their heads, crushing their skulls instantly. Although the door was secure, a small crevice above it was open, and Jar Jar, using his immense flexibility, soundlessly flipped through the crevice. Upon entering Plagueis' home, he was greeted with a stunning bright light, as Palpatine unleashed torrents of Force lightning upon his master, and was writhing in pain. Plagueis' body would finally lay limp, as Palpatine would declare himself to be the Lord of the Sith. With one final sinister gaze at his fallen master, Palpatine would turn around to lay his eyes upon a terrible sight. As Jar Jar stood proudly with his cloak off, yellow teeth grinning, and his crimson red blade ignited, sparkling in the darkness of Plagueis' room. Palpatine smirked as he unsheathed his own crimson red blade. This was the duel for the galaxy. That is it for part 1 of What If Jar Jar Binks Was a Sith Lord. If you would like to see a part 2, please like this video and subscribe for more What Ifs. And as always, leave a comment on what If you would like to see next. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.